So that's who I'm going to start painting over here, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, what do I want to do for the base coat? What do I want to do for the first things to color? She's got a large red cloak, a little bit of a reddish brown skin tone. So I think whitish hair. Alright. So that is the case. I think I'm going to start with let's go with the skin tone first. And then after that I think I'll go into the white. So let's see. I need some brownish skin tone. Unburned flesh. That sounds good. Sounds about right. Let's give it a nice shake. Like this. Alrighty. That's good. So I currently use Master Series paints by, what's that? I use multiple different kinds of paints, but these are the ones that I'm currently using. Let's add a little bit there. Don't want to add too much because the more you add, the more you've got to use. So let's see. How's this looking? Not much. Some paper towels too. So let's go ahead and lately I've started using a hair dryer to help me get all this stuff done more quickly, because that can definitely speed up the drying of the paint and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think I'm going to subject you guys to that, because that does not seem like a very stream appropriate thing to do. So today it's just going to have to be waiting. Once, let's just make sure that this is in focus. Alright, that, and then let's go ahead and turn off autofocus for the moment, and we'll see. Alright, so her face is like that, then I also want to paint her pale. Let the face dry a bit. This week on Gloomhaven, we might actually be having another character not die, but probably just retire. So I think William's character is going to be retiring. He expressed some interest in actually playing this one, the Sunkeeper. Excuse me. So the Sunkeeper is almost like a cleric kind of figure. We unlocked her through, well, reasons and ways that I'm not going to really talk about, because there might be some people who will watch this and want to know a little bit about, or not want to know spoilers related to Gloomhaven. So, I think that, yeah. Unfortunately, mini painting is a very, very slow process. God, something stuck in my throat. Never fun. Slow process, especially the way that I do it, because I don't really concentrate on like one figure at a time. I do it, like, you'll see me start changing over and see where else I can use it, and I just don't like to waste paint at all. So whenever I possibly can, I will use all of the paint that I have out. So that can be, I'll start using it for different characters, and I have a whole bunch of minis over in the corner that are the Zombicide, Black Plague zombies who still need painting, and so I use them a lot of times for like the extra paint. So they have random sporadic, like just bright colors or other colors just all over, because of the fact that I don't want to stop using that paint, or I don't want to waste it. And so I've had things like that happen recently while I've been, because I have been painting quite a bit recently. Let me see real quick. Let me see if I can get you guys a better view of what I'm doing over here. So let's see. Zoom in a bit. There we go. That's a bit better. Alright. So now you'll actually be able to see some of the stuff that I'm doing. Only dip it in ketchup and eat that mini. Yeah. Alright, how's that for background music? Thanks for letting me know that that was a little bit too loud, Adam. And also, of course, welcome to stream. Hopefully now you'll actually be able to hear me and what I am saying. But yes, let me know. So I don't think you were around at the very beginning of the stream, or you probably just didn't hear it. We're not playing Massive Darkness today because, well, we had a lot of people have a lot more commitments. So because of that, we had to, well, cancel that part of the stream. So I decided that I'm going to instead do some painting, because painting's fun. And I've been wanting to get some of these done anyway. So I'm going to start with her. And I remember that you were saying that you were painting a bit recently as well. Yeah, all right. Okay, I think that that is a good coat on her face and her tail. So with that, I'm gonna do what I always do. I'm gonna go ahead and grab, let's see, this guy? Yeah, sure. I'm gonna use some of this paint on this guy. I think he's gonna get some brown shoes. Actually might use a different brush so I don't have, so it doesn't take me forever. Put that brush over here, and let's use, yeah, how about you? All right, yep, there we go, that's good. Right, yeah, there we go. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, Greg recently started. He had a an event today. It was like the first time he started a temp agency today, so he wasn't able to do stuff. Also, yesterday he was doing a lot of Dragons Demize stuff, so he needed a little bit of a break. And then I know Harrison is out. He had to go. This was like the only day that he could meet with certain friends of ours. And then let's see. William had to like stay late for work. And Anna and Will also had something come up. I think that they're leaving on a trip either tomorrow or something, and they had to like pack. So pretty much no one was really available tonight to play. But you know, that just gives me some time to relax, paint some miniatures, you know, that kind of stuff. All right, I think I just had enough paint for this guy's one shoe. So he's got a brown shoe. And this is what I was talking about with all the Zombicide minis being very randomly colored. Like I had some extra red, so this guy had red. He's got a blue cloak back here. He's got one brown shoe. And there are a few of them like that. I just pretty much use the rest of the paint because I have all these like generic like zombie minis and that kind of stuff that they don't really need to have anything totally special or anything like that. So I instead will just do that kind of stuff. All right, so that's the first part. Now the next part of her, I think I'm gonna do the red parts. So that's like the cloaks. Yeah, I think all of the cloaks and that kind of stuff. So that'll be a bit of a red color. Let's see, I've got brilliant red, but I think that might be a little bit too much. So I'm gonna use, let's see, there's Abominable Gore because I have like a bunch of different sets in here. Some of them, as you can see, are just Zombicide sets. Is this mirrored again? Let's see. Transform. Flip horizontal. Yeah, there we go. That's better. So yeah, we've got Zombicide ones. But let's see. Plan for this weekend. What are we doing this weekend? That's a good question. Let's see, just making sure that I'm in the right spot here. This is where I want to be for. Okay. This weekend, I think we don't have too many plans. I might be going to what's called Unpub, which is a convention here close by that actually has pretty much it's unpublished games that that you can play and test out. And I know some Crimson Red maybe. I know some game designers that are going to be there. And so I'm thinking that I might go for that. Let's see, what other reds do I have in here? What are you? That's Fireball Orange, that's not red. That is Burning Orange, and that is Survivor Skin. That's not red. Alright, so one of these. Brilliant Red sounds a bit too much. Abominable Gore, maybe. Or maybe this. Fresh Blood. I think that it might be a little bit too much for that. Maybe, well, Entrail Pink is one. Or Glistening Blood. What is this? Crimson Red. Yeah, you know what? Crimson. Crimson it is. Let's go with that one. Shake it up all nice. And let's see. Is it gonna come out for me? Nope, it is not. I will be back in a moment. Yeah, the Zombicide colors are also, they're just renamed to the regular range colors. But, you know, they were made for people who have just started painting miniatures, I think. So because of that, like, you know, they wanted to make them like, you know, oh, here is the skin of the survivors, and here is this, and that kind of stuff. So I think that it's just made like that for that reason. But I will be back in one moment. Get my handy dandy paper clips that can unclog the holes of these paints, because otherwise I will, like, you know, squeeze and squeeze until it all just pops out into my palette, and then it just like have way too much, and then I have to paint like 10 other guys with crimson red. So let's go ahead and loosen that up. Now I think I should be good. So let's see. Yep, there we go. That's good. Alrighty. So let's go on to her. Onto her back. Let's see, I just need to make sure that I'm in the right. Yeah, like that. That's comfortable, and also, yeah, all right. So let's go ahead. Let's see, do I like this color that much? Yeah, I think that's the right color. I like it. All right. So let's give her a nice crimson cloak and see how that goes. People are messaging me because, of course. Nice glistening crimson for now. Try not to get too much on the shield. And get some over there so I get the full coverage. The entire mini. Let me just check, because someone is really messaging me a lot. Oh, it's Greg. Let's see what Greg has to say today. If it's appropriate, I will say it on stream. If it's not, then it won't. He's talking about his food experimentations. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm usually the one cooking for stream and all that kind of stuff. So, normally that's my job. And recently he started getting Hungry Harvest boxes, which are pretty much just like boxes of fresh food that are delivered to your door. And with that, like, he started to actually experiment with cooking some more. And so he was just talking about his chicken fajitas that he managed to make a little bit by accident. Hey, Vaden. Welcome. Today is a little bit of a different thing. We're supposed to be playing some Massive Darkness, but people had to do other things. So instead, I am here painting some miniatures, but I'm glad you stopped by, because I want to let you know that yesterday, actually, we were playing some of the Mind. And when we were playing the Mind, we actually, 2 players, we won the game. It was me and Greg. And we actually got through all 12 levels for 2-player. It was really good. We were really proud of ourselves. I mean, I think that 2-player is the easiest one, because yeah, it's just and also it's just because of how Greg and I are, and because of the fact that, like, we are like our minds after doing the podcast and doing the streams for so long, like we are very like in tune with each other. So like because of that, I know that I think that it was easier for us. But I think anything more than 2 players gets to be really, really hard. But we were happy. Like, I mean, the game itself is a lot of fun. That's going to be one of the games that I'm going to be bringing to table quite often. Yeah, 4 players. I mean, that's how we played it the first time we ever played it. And honestly, that was it was hard. I loved it. Like, I think that it plays really, really well with 4 players, 3 players, whatever it is. But yeah, it gets bone hard when, like, you know, rock hard when you get to that level. Like, just the 4 players, you have to like try to figure out what everybody is thinking and not just like what the one other person at the table is thinking. And like, I think there are a lot of games, like if you're playing cooperative with just 2 players, can be a lot easier. But if you're playing competitive with 2 players, a lot of times games get a lot harder. So it's a very, very interesting dynamic. I find it very interesting. I used to play Carcassonne 2-player with my previous roommate, and yeah, we really are. It's an awesome game. Really glad that you brought that to my attention, because I think that one's going to be one that you'll see on stream quite often. I think it'll be like the game that whenever we're ending early or something like that, whenever we have some additional time, we'll probably go through and play a little bit of it. And I mean, that's just going to be the game that I'm going to be bringing around, especially when I'm at like Origins and other things. I will definitely be having that one around, so that when we need just like a quick 15-20 minute game, we can just go ahead, sit down, and play some of that. All right, I think that's most of the crimson. Oh, also her hood up there. All right, so I need to do that a little bit more. But yeah, how are you doing, Vaden? What are you up to? You mentioned something about took up the hobby of pastry baking. What have you been making? That's something I do really love to do as well. Though my girlfriend is better at it than me because, well, she is a professional, pretty much pastry chef, so she blows me out of the water. But I am totally happy with that. Ooh, homemade bread is one of the best things you can ever like have. Special brushes in the US. Like, what kind of brushes are you looking at, Adam? What do you mean by special brushes? Because currently, I mean, I just have like, you know, all these. I mean, this one is Army Painter, but the rest of them are just some. I wouldn't call them too special. I just chose like the ones that are the really small ones because I like I mean, this one is what it's called the Psycho, but it's like I love the brushes that are like, you know, triple, quadruple, like 10 zeros and all that kind of stuff. Nice. All right, so you started right in a really good place. I mean, starting with bread, I mean, that's definitely jumping right in, but that sounds absolutely delicious. A delicious way of jumping right in. What kind of breads have you been doing? Just let's see. like French breads, just regular loaf breads in a loaf pan. Like, what have you been doing? What kinds have you got? Brioche, etc., etc. Let's see. Series 7 brushes. Alright. Are those... Who makes those? I think you mentioned them before. And a lot of these are pretty much just like the cheap brushes that I could find online because they fray so quickly and easily that I'm just like, I will just get however many I need in order to just keep up the painting and get rid of the ones that start to be really shitty or use them for something else. Let's see. Plain white milk bread, dinner rolls, cream cheese pound cake. Nice. That all sounds really good. Yeast, I know a lot of people are afraid of yeast. My mom, for the longest time, wouldn't touch it. Recently, she's started and like been doing more yeast stuff, but yeah, it took a while to get there. I love making some yeast breads, though, especially bread. I mean, that in itself is reason enough to like go ahead and start using yeast because, I mean, it's bread. It's absolutely delicious. And at least here in the US, like, it's a little bit more difficult to get the really good breads. Like, you can go to like some specialty bakeries and that kind of stuff to get some of the really good crusty like breads that like are very common out in Europe and that kind of stuff. And I know I was spoiled when I was younger because my family would go to Poland very often, and like, you know, there was a bakery right down the street from my aunt and uncle's house that would that we would go to on a regular basis and just get the fresh rolls first thing in the morning. They're still hot from the oven. You come back home, cut them in half, put some butter on it, and it's absolutely perfect. Let's see, Windsor brushes. Nice. All right. The Windsor Series 7. Yeah, I mean, like this kind of stuff, like I pretty much just looked on Amazon and was like, what are the smallest brushes I can possibly get? Because when it comes to me, it's just like, I love all the detailed stuff. Like you can see here, for example, this was one of my recent ones. Like, I try to do a decent amount of detail in here. Try to make sure that all of that, like, you know, that they have the right colors and that kind of stuff. But I think that the one that does it even more, you might be able to see it here. You know, you've got the red sword, you've got like all that stuff. So I really like all the details and stuff. But yeah. I mean, a lot of in the US, a lot of tabletop sites or tabletop stores. I don't know. They don't really sell that much online. I know my local ones don't. They don't have sales on site, and I mean, my local store just recently got what is it? I just recently got some paints, and because they hadn't done it before, so. Definitely not there, but I know that there are some. I mean, Cool Mini or not, I guess that's an online store for that, but I don't know what other, I don't really know too much about what other stores there are that have that kind of stuff. All right, what else am I going to use this red, this crimson on? Because I think that her cloak is good. I think I'm going to use it on a decent amount of it. Do I want to use it on him? Or maybe, yeah, let's use it on this guy. He's gonna have a bit of like a red hood kind of thing. Alrighty. This brush. And let's go and get the guy's hood. There we go. See everything that I'm doing. Yeah, I remember in high school, I think, or like a few years ago, I like started doing some fun stuff with yeast breads, especially. I found a recipe somewhere, I forget even where, but I found a recipe for pecan sticky buns, and it's still one of my favorite things. Like, you know, they're pretty much like cinnamon buns, but with like a delicious glaze almost, like the pecans in there and that kind of stuff. And it's absolutely amazing. Homemade pizza is actually surprisingly easy. Like, especially if you got the bread down, like you shouldn't have much of a problem at all with that. And it's absolutely worth it. I mean, you know, I have a pizza stone, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have one in order to make some delicious pizza. You're talking about the Series 7 brushes? They cost about $10? Wow, that's actually nice, because I mean, the brushes that I'm currently having here also cost about like $10 per, well, not per brush. I don't know if like you're talking about like per brush or per set. These cost probably about $10 to $15 per set. So, might be more expensive. Yeah, homemade pizza is just one of the best things you can make. I highly, highly recommend trying that out. And then once you've done it, you will be able to just keep going, doing it whenever it strikes your fancy. Probably would do it much more often if I wasn't feeding like 4, 5, 6 people each time, especially like before stream. Yeah, I have to get pretty much everybody fed before we start stream here. Well, don't have to, but like that, I feel like I like to give everybody some food, cook for everyone. Also just love cooking, so I mean, that is on me. But yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that I don't know if you know the webcomic Questionable Content, but which doesn't really have much questionable content. It's just called that. But there's one quote for that summarizes a lot of like the baking stuff. It was like when it was pretty much what it says is baking is science for hungry people, and it's like, yeah, like you're pretty much just, you know, you putting all these ingredients together and get something absolutely delicious out of it. So it's amazing. Yeah, pretty much. If I have the time, if I'm not like stuck late at work, like I was a few weeks ago, I will really like to wait, have to what? Are you talking about whether that I have to, you know, feed my friends? Yeah, you know, I like doing that, but at the same time. I mean, except for when Irish Ramsey in the chat when she comes over and cooks for my friends when I am really late. That is always great. She is also a good cook. Better baker, but really, really good cook too. Yeah. All right. Let's see what we got. I got the crimson on her. I used up the rest of my crimson there. Let's go ahead and see what is the next color that I want to do. I think the gold should be on top. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring out some. I think she's gonna have some like bright steel of some sort. So let's take a look. I think Claymore Blade is gonna be the best one. Yeah, I'm definitely lucky. But yeah, no, they're capable of fending for themselves. But at the same time, if they're coming over here to stream with at Dragon's Demise, I like to make sure that they don't start flaking on me too often, and make sure that they're very well fed and have fun coming over here and all that kind of stuff. Plus, I mean, I like entertaining. Entertaining is fun. And, I mean, it usually ends up with some compliments about my food, so that gives me a little bit of a ego boost, which is always nice. And let's see. All right. Just got the greaves. There's a lot of metal plating on here. Let's see, how's everything like this going? Yeah, that's a little bit annoying that they don't have the cool thing on the back of the shield. All right, well, the accents in here in gold are going to be a little bit annoying to do. Let's try this brush. All right, we've got start with the legs. I think right about here. Go ahead and give that right there. That. Make sure that you all can still see it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, especially, I'm sure that that's a nice feeling when you start baking and just like, you bring out that fresh loaf of bread, and then whoever you share it with, if you share it, gets to have some, and yeah, that is always a nice feeling. Just like the showing someone just how amazing something like that can be. And it's like, oh, you made that? It's like, yes, I did. What else? Okay. I'm going to do a base coat of this color, and then over that I'm going to do the golden colors. I think that'll be the easiest way, rather than trying to avoid all of the accents. It's got golden shoes. It's definitely one of the reasons that I really just love cooking and baking. It's just like, everybody comes over, and I can't. I mean, there's like some stuff like with how it's funny because Greg always tells me that I have a signature spice blend of my own. Not that it was a bad thing, but just that it has developed that like I use certain spices very, very often, which is pretty funny. See, the funny part is, like, with all these Gloomhaven figures, they're really cool, and like the illustrations can be really awesome. But I don't know if I really like the color schemes as much. I mean, they're pretty awesome. They're pretty cool, but a lot of them are just like the same color scheme. Like the character models don't really have much variation. I mean, like here, you've pretty much just got silver, gold, silver, gold, silver, gold, and that's it. Like there's very little variation of like, you know, with a little bit of like red accent. But I like to have a little bit more. I mean, it makes the characters more lively. It makes them more fun to paint when you've got more. Yep, Vegeta is life. That is my favorite brand of MSG, pretty much, which makes things absolutely delicious. It's got some MSG, it's got some veggies, like, you know, just powdered veggies and that kind of stuff. Pretty much just a lot of really good stuff mixed into one bit of a spice blend, and I use it for everything. I actually used it yesterday. I made some rice and I just put that in there, and while it was cooking so that it would soak up all the flavor. I think I made something very similar to, like, you know, the rice that you get in the boxes with like the packets and that kind of stuff. And that's what Greg was telling me, that it tasted very similar to those. So that's a fun thing. They probably use something extremely similar to that for when they put those packets together. I'm sure some miniatures painters out there are gonna be like really annoyed that I'm holding them like this or something like that. Like, you're rubbing off the paint. It's one of the reasons that I will paint the hair last. Make sure to get all of these just like that. All right. Yes. Into the little crevices. Alrighty. Starting to look pretty good in terms of like the greaves and all that kind of stuff. Giving it some little bit of stuff. Yeah, it's definitely an underutilized thing. Like, you should definitely flavor your rice when you boil it. It makes it so much better on the whole. Let's see. Yeah, sure, like that. Yeah, let's just get all this armor stuff in silver first. Yeah. Yeah, alright. The shoulder pads are fully golden. But let's see. The rest of that is golden. Ah, there. A little bit of detail. Try to get right over here. A little bit of these greaves that are sticking out above the belt. That's right there. Get that nice and shiny. Got that there. And then a little bit of the repositioning, a little bit like that. And then I think that I need to, okay, yeah. This have 2 layers on bracers here. Bottom layer is the silvery one. Yep. I just love these metallic colors. I really do like using them a lot. Oh, nice. Glad that you liked it. Yeah. Betrayal can be a lot of fun. I think that's, if I remember correctly, someone got screwed over. I think Will may have gotten screwed over on that one. But yeah, I still like to play it. I think it's a fun game. I'm playing Betrayal Legacy now. Have you thought about playing that one, Vaden? Because that is a good one. And I think that it's probably better than the base game itself. Still got some of the problems because, of course, and I think that they're inherent in the game. They're not game breaking or anything. I just definitely got very salty in my last, the last game of that I played. Because we played this weekend and there was a haunt that I got completely hosed on. So I think that that's just where that game unfortunately falls apart a little bit. That people can get completely hosed on some of the haunts. Okay. I think, what else? Is there anything else that she is wearing right now that needs some silvery coating? Got the arms. Got those. Her hammer. The rod of her hammer. Right? Gotcha. Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate, Vaden. Sorry to hear about that. Hopefully you'll be able to get it at some point. Because yeah, there are a decent amount of things like in terms of like demons and other such supernatural beings, if I might say. So Betrayal can definitely have a bunch of that stuff going on. Make sure that I got all this coated. It can be really hard to like see because it's like, you know, silvery, but at the same time it's like on gray paint. So being able to see where, if I got everything, can be a little bit difficult. Yeah, I mean, the games aren't going anywhere. I'm sure at some point in your life you'll be able to try them out. I mean, and then otherwise you can live vicariously through streams like ours and the videos that we do. And I mean, there are a lot of different games that have some really awesome mechanics that are really mundane themed. You know, there are so many games about castles that it's not even funny anymore. But that doesn't mean that they're not awesome. So, and we yesterday played 2 different games about castles. We played Dragon Castle and we played Between Two Castles while we were preparing to record our podcast this week. Well, at least the intro and the outro, because we have some cool special things happening this week on the actual podcast. So that'll be fun. Yeah. Let's see. What else is in here that needs to be silvered up? Just gotta make sure that everything is correctly coated. That's the right amount. For some reason today my hand is shaking quite a bit. Doesn't always do that, but today it just seems to want to. No, we haven't used this character yet in Gloomhaven. This is one that we unlocked recently. We unlocked her when my character retired, or at the beginning of the session that my character retired is when we unlocked her. So this was one of the choices for who I was going to play. I ended up going with the Plague Herald instead. But yeah, we have not actually gotten to play with her. Alright, let's see. Where do I want to use the silver? Or Claymore Blade. Yes, she is pretty much paladin. Here, I will read her story. So, she is a Valrath Sunkeeper. Though their demon-like qualities make them feared by many, Valraths are, for the most part, well-mannered and gentle, preferring to solve problems through diplomacy rather than violence. They come from dark and bloody heritage of genocide and warfare, and as they have become more civilized, they have simply made concerted efforts to put their past behind them. Valraths pride themselves on being able to integrate themselves peacefully into human society, often becoming wealthy merchants or influential politicians. Perhaps the most prideful of the Valraths can be found in the sect of the Sunkeepers, those who have been trained to tap into the long-dormant demonic powers and harness them for the purpose of righteousness. A Sunkeeper goes beyond merely forsaking her heritage and instead uses it to uplift society, healing others and rebuking evil forces. They often travel the world seeking out situations where they can demonstrate their brilliant powers. So yeah, she is pretty much a paladin. That would be the best description probably of her. And yeah, she's probably a pretty cool character. It'll be fun. Is that a knock on my door? 1 second. Let me check the door. Nope, not on mine, but I am going to grab a glass of water. Alrighty. Some water so that I can keep talking. Yeah, no, I would have been fine with playing either one of them, but we ended up putting up a poll for our patrons and our subs on the Discord and on the Patreon, and well, just like me, they chose the Plague Herald. I love the way that he works. So I'm really curious. I think that William might be playing her, and that'll be fun. I wonder if he'll actually change his playstyle instead of continuing to get all of the money. If he will actually like go for and like be a little bit more of the what's it called, altruist and all that kind of stuff. We'll see if he plays her. That could happen. I doubt it would happen, but it could. So let's say I'm gonna put her right there for the moment. And I need to use the rest of this Claymore Blade paint. Where do I want to use it? I think I want to use it on some of these Scythe mechs. Yeah, I think I like that idea. All right, let's go ahead. Which brush to use? I'm gonna use this one, I think. All right. Yeah. I'm very curious because that's his persona in like almost every game right now. That he's like just always going for like either the money or other things like that. He's sports ball, the player, and I'm curious whether or not this is going to change anything if he goes into a character that is more support focused and more like buffs and debuffs. But that'll also be interesting because that means that we won't really... I wonder how tanky she is. How much health does she have? He'd be starting at level 3, so 14 health? Yeah, that's actually pretty tanky. So, he'd still be able to take a lot of damage and do all that kind of stuff, and he would just probably be more focused on that than rushing in brute forcing it. But he would pretty much go and tank damage while we did the damage and he healed us. That probably would be the way this character worked. Which I'm curious to see like whether or not he would actually enjoy or go for, because that is very different than what he normally plays. He likes his big dumb stuff. Yeah, no, she is pretty beefy. Like it's actually really good. Because otherwise, we added her to the party, and it was the Plague Herald, the Scoundrel, and the Sunkeeper, and if none of us had any hit points, we would be in a lot of trouble. Yeah, I usually go for support and that kind of stuff. But I think this time I went for... I'm still a decent amount of support because of all the poison that I do in terms of the Plague Herald, but I'm definitely not a healer. And also, definitely, I don't help our team, I hurt their team. So, which I mean, it's a different type of support. But I think because it's so different than what I normally do is why I like it so much. I mean, it's got like some of the same elements, but then because I'm still like, helping other people like do a lot better in terms of, adding the poison, doing the curses, and preventing people from getting hit and from getting damage and all that. But at the same time, it's definitely a very, very different set of skills. I think the one game that I absolutely hated being the support in was Dark Souls, the board game. The support in that game is absolutely horrible. It is boring as hell, and I would not recommend. I don't think that game is really that great at the moment, not with the classes that are available. I think it has some very interesting stuff in terms of the combat system, and I'm really curious about when the new classes come out. What's gonna happen? That might be a lot of fun. If there are actually more classes that can do more stuff. But for the moment, it is just, especially as any kind of support-ish character, you are fighting against like impossible odds of trying to keep your party alive. And so that's not really fun. Yeah, I don't think I was ever into this. I was never into the Soul games either, but I think one of the things that brought me to the games was just like all the really cool miniatures and all that kind of stuff. Because I mean, as much as I don't do it very often, I do actually really like painting miniatures. I think it's fun. And I like to have like the miniatures from like all the different things that I can just use to like stand in for everything. And I also had read reviews from people that I liked that talked about the combat system, which is actually pretty unique. And they did a good job of emulating the type of stuff that you need to do in actual Souls games. So things like the fact that you have to pretty much learn the rhythm of the enemy and that kind of stuff. And I think that that's really cool, and it definitely makes it more difficult in terms of the way the gameplay can work. And I think that there are a lot of games, especially dungeon crawling games, that really need that, because like, I mean, Massive Darkness is one example. It just gets boring if you don't like have it done right. Like if you don't have the balance done right, you're just gonna get bored. And that's the point that we're at a bit. So it's definitely the kind of thing where it definitely makes the game interesting because it's a lot harder. But also like, especially nowadays with something like Gloomhaven that came out, just like, oh, this is a pretty tough game as well, but this one's fun. So yeah, I hope that some of our homebrew rules will actually make the game better for all of us and make us like the game a bit more, because otherwise, like, it's not. I'd much rather actually have that game be fun, like if at all possible. Like I don't want to have a game just die because it's shitty. We already had one Cool Mini or Not game die because of that. Like the Zombicide Black Plague, we just, like, that one was either too easy or too hard, depending on who we had in the party, which was really just annoying because yeah, it was just either way too difficult when we like used these guys, for example. I don't even remember if we actually used them, but you have the archers, and yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff in Master Darkness right now, that's what it feels like. It feels like God mode, or like Skyrim when you get to level 100, you're just like going through and wiping the floor with literally anything that comes out. Like, I mean, it's been a while since I think the last time was the first time in, after we started doing some changes, was pretty much the first time that we had what was it? An enemy not die in one turn. So, and then it took 2 turns. So, not much of an improvement, but at least a little bit of an improvement. Let's see. All right. I think I'm good with the silver. So, because I painted a decent amount of her in here right now, I think I'm going to need to let her dry for a bit. So, let's go ahead and switch over to a different character. Got the Tinkerer, and this is what I was talking about with with Gloomhaven. I mean, this guy is all one color. Trying to paint that is difficult. And this guy as well, like, I mean, he's also pretty much like one color. Yeah, the Tinkerer is pretty fun. I mean, that was the character that I was playing until I retired recently. But the thing is, it's just like he's all just one color. So I need to figure out how to make him a little bit more colorful. Let's see. Yeah. I'm just like, I like to use like 10 different colors on a single like guy. I'm always that guy. Just give it a few different tones and that kind of stuff, and do the definitely. I'm definitely gonna have to use the inks on him to bring out some of the details and that kind of stuff. But like everything is just yellow, and there's just those little bit of blue. Yeah, I think my biggest problem is just that his skin color is almost the same as his armor color. So that means that I think I'm gonna have to change some of his armor colors. Put him here. So what else do I have to? Well, I've got to paint some of those, some of that, some of that. All right. What do I want to use for that? I can use some of my... Yeah. I don't think I have used tin on him. No, just copper. All right. Let's go ahead and use some of this. This is actually one of my favorite colors. It's the tin color. And it's a lot of fun. No, that's not. So that character himself is retired, meaning my character Tratton the Tinkerer is retired. The Tinkerer class is not. You can then pretty much someone else can make another character of your class afterwards. I mean, you could keep playing your class if you wanted to. It's just that one adventurer is retired, so you like lose your level and all that kind of stuff. But you still can keep playing with that character. All right. Yeah. It lets you, especially if you're playing like a more hardcore mode, like that's how you can like die and like keep playing, because for example, William's character, this is his second brute character, because he already had one who died, and so he created another one because he liked the brute so much. And yeah, he's just kept playing as the brute. I think is nice, because that means that like you're not like stopped from using a different class, and actually it does bring some benefits, because if you retire someone from a class, but let's say, for example, I did he was a bit salty about it, but I think he wasn't as salty as he could have been. I honestly don't really remember what even happened that we died. We almost had a TPK, pretty much. My character, this guy was the only one to escape alive out of that. And the funny part was, oh, you know, no, this is actually why he wasn't salty. Because he caused it. Pretty much, he rushed to level up, pretty much. And then because of his level up, the enemies got harder. And we died immediately after they got harder. So, he had no rights to be salty when it was his fault. Yeah. Yeah, because so I think that at that time, my character was still level. Both Greg and my characters were both level 2, and he just jumped into level 3, and that meant that our enemies went from level 1 to level 2, or like, you know, difficulty 1 to difficulty 2, and that really did make a difference. It made quite a big difference. So, we died pretty quickly. Or at least they died pretty quickly. I ran away, survived. And recruited the current characters of theirs into the group. And then after that, they, I was the top leveled one, but I don't think I was ever nearly as over leveled, like, compared to the rest of the group. I may have just been like around about half a level, with that, about that much difference. But yeah, I was actually surprised that last time, you know, we leveled up, both Greg and William both leveled up the prior night, or the prior game. The last Friday was the first Friday that we actually had, what's it called? Level 3 enemies. That brush is gone. Level 3 enemies, it was the first time. And so we were expecting it to be very similar to what had happened that time. But we actually managed to do pretty fine. I think it was partially like luck of the draw that time, when we had almost a TPK. Because, yeah, it was pretty brutal. I just managed to escape. One of 2 sessions that we've lost currently. Something along those lines. Yep, exactly. He nearly killed the content. Yep. But yeah, now I seem to be the one making some of the content choices, which is interesting. I never thought I would be that one, but I got the treasure chest that time. And he didn't. He finished the quest. And then this time I also stole his treasure chest. But, you know, he deserves it. Exactly. We live to die another day. That is precisely what we did. We survived, and we will die another day. Actually, really curious what's going to come out of William's retirement. What character, if at all, if any, is going to come out of it. Who he'll be playing, and whether or not it's even going to happen next round. Funny part is going to be that he's going to go from level 5 to level 3. Ah, Adam. Damn it. You got... Did you get me paintbrushes, goddammit? Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, dude. I will learn the ways of the good paintbrushes. That is much appreciated. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Friday a lot. I think that it'll be a good stream and we'll have some really interesting stuff happening in Gloomhaven. I wonder what and how it's gonna work. I'm actually still curious about what it is that is actually William's goal. I don't think it has anything to do with the money. Let's see. What else we got? He's got one of those in that hand. Yeah. I think the Gloomhaven ones are going really well. And I think they're just a lot of fun. The game is just a ton of fun. And Harrison's back. Hey, Harrison.
Hey.
You're fine.
Streaming currently?
Yeah, I'm just streaming some painting, so just chilling out with Adam and Vaden. I think Amanda's in there as well. Let's see. Some of that armor. A little bit of depth, adding a little bit of that. Ah. Yeah. Yeah. I think knowing the rules, I mean, we're getting to the point where we're starting to actually know the rules, but it's really funny because almost every time we publish a Gloomhaven stream on YouTube, we always get get someone commenting about a rule that we've either missed, forgotten, didn't realize existed, something. And I mean, we totally appreciate it because it means that we're starting to play it right, and usually it actually helps us because we do a lot of things that it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be this harder way of doing things, right? Yeah, of course it's gonna be that harder way. And then we learn, no, it's actually the easier way, or it's, you know, it's not meant to be that difficult. Oh, okay. I don't mind that then. So, and sometimes we have our own personal rules lawyers come into the stream, help us out a bit, because that is always nice. His pose is cool, but at the same time it means that I'm painting like under his knees. A little bit annoying. What else? Let's see. Is there anything else on him that I want to paint in this color? That's a rope. That's that. I'd add a little bit more, a few more accents of this one. Here. That. I think it's going to be all for that color for him. So, time to take another miniature and see what I can use this color for. Problem is I've used this color so many times that it's getting to the point where I don't know if there's too much that I can use it in without being too redundant. So I really do like that color. Oh, what's got some cool metal stuff that I can do? No, not you. You guys are all done. How about... Yeah, I can do some of this guy. Maybe someday I'll finish these Scythe mechs. Probably not anytime soon, but someday. I have no good ideas for the Poland mechs. They're white in the game, and I don't know, that doesn't seem like an easy color scheme to follow. Like these guys are blue, so doing a bit of a blue color scheme. She should be soon. I'm probably gonna get back to her shortly. Let me just move her over there. Maybe here? Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna move back to her shortly. I just need to use the rest of this paint, I think. So I just want to use this color, and then I'll be moving back to her. And doing all probably the gold. Yeah, Scythe is fun. I have to convince them to actually, at some point, the group is getting a little bit burnt out on some of the campaign stuff. So like after we finish, we're gonna have a stream next week that's gonna be the wrap-up stream for, it's called Seafall. Because, well, we've pretty much given up on that game. But after we wrap that up, we're going to turn that into probably a variety stream night, and we're likely going to actually have that be voted on by you guys about what we're actually going to play that night. And yeah, the miniatures can be a very intricate process. I also think it really depends on who's doing it, because there are definitely people who don't do it at this intricacy level. Like, I'm not gonna say that I'm like really good or anything like that, because I am not. I just can be really meticulous about some things, and miniatures painting is one of them. I like the small things that I can just put my head down. But yeah, and like once you get to a certain point, like it's a lot easier. And also, like, you know, if you just want to paint your miniatures, like I can be like looking at every damn detail of these things. But a lot of people will just be like, all right, let's just make this look pretty cool. Like, unless you're going to some kind of like contest or anything like that, or you're me, you don't really need to do it at this level of detail. I think a lot of people just like, especially things like on this guy here, I like did the gold buttons on him, and I'm sure that a lot of people would not have touched it that far. So it's not the kind of thing, it all depends on what you want to do. But to me, this can be like just relaxing to just sit down, paint all of these different miniatures, and see where that takes me. And one day, actually have them all painted to play the games and all that. I know that I have a friend of mine, he will not play games that have miniatures unless they are painted, or his own. Like, if he owns the game, and he will wait until he has painted enough miniatures to actually play in order to play the game. It's very ambitious, but it also means that he actually gets a lot of his miniatures painted. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I jump into into these kinds of things. Pretty funny. When I was first starting, because I only started painting miniatures not too long ago, only like a year or two ago. When I first jumped into them, I started with Zombicide Black Plague and started with the zombies. So I'm like, got a bunch of these guys, and I don't have to worry about making them perfect. I can just experiment and see how it goes. And then came out that I was watching someone to learn a little bit more about miniatures painting and that kind of stuff. And the person there had like a bunch. They did some things with making the zombies a little bit more unique than just having the having them just, you know, have like dirty gray clothes or whatever. And that turned into me having like zombie miniatures that were all pretty much dressed like clowns, in terms of them having polka dotted and like striped pants and like all different kinds of colors everywhere. Pretty intricate, but also pretty damn silly. I was like, you really do not need that. You, sure. Do some more over here. Yeah. I mean, seeing how you progress is it's always a nice thing to be able to see. It's like, I had no skill back then, but now I'm like, doing decently. And then you look online at how some people paint these damn things, and then you're like, oh, holy shit. I think there was, like when you get to like the people who are using a lot of the air brushes and things like that, and like doing some really advanced stuff, like they can look like they're literally out of a painting, and it's absolutely stunning and gorgeous. But also, I'm sure that every one of those minis like takes fucking forever to do. To me, it's just like, as long as they look pretty cool as when we're playing, like, I like to have all the details on them, but they look cool, we can play with them. Well, the problem is a lot of times, like, you don't... the sculpts are good, but at the same time, you might not be able to understand exactly what part goes where until later on. And that's what I run into a lot, where it's just like, oh wait, that part goes there and that connects to that? That's part of the same thing? Oh god. Whoops. I made those into two totally different features, and they are like totally different colors, and they're supposed to be one thing. And I can always be like a little bit of a stickler in terms of not wanting to have too much of one color, which is why the Tinkerer can be a little bit annoying to me, because everything is yellow. And I'm like, no, I want some other colors. Give me some other colors. Give me something other than just shades of yellow. So I think one of the ones that I'm really, really looking forward to actually getting to paint is going to be the Rising Sun miniatures, because those are intricate as hell. Yeah, definitely I'm going to customize them a bit. I mean, already I was starting to add this kind of tinny color to him to add something other than like copper. But yeah, the Rising Sun minis, when I paint those, I'm gonna have to borrow Hunter's art book for them, because like it's absolutely gorgeous. The artwork on there is intricate and gorgeous and just the kind of style that I would love to paint. And then I'll be working on like a single, pretty much just a single miniature for like a month to get it all done right, because I can be obsessive like that. And I could just be like, yeah, this is gonna take me forever to actually get done and painted. But it'll look really cool once I'm done. Hopefully. Exactly. What colors do we have for this dude? I think we're going to have some gray. We're going to add a little bit of gray to that. And then top it all off with A little bit of red. No, gray. Gray. Yeah, a little bit more gray. Exactly. And it's just like keeping the different parts consistently colored can also be a little bit of a problem where it's just like this side is this tin color and then this other side is whoops, I made it steel. I'll check it out after the stream, Adam. Oh, the first mini is always the... I don't even know which one was my first, honestly. Because they were all the zombies, I was just like, I don't know which one I started with. They were all done similarly. A lot of different colors and that kind of stuff. So they're all very similar and hard to tell apart. Or easy to tell apart, hard to tell which one came first. So that's what I wanted. Yeah, Adam does some really cool arts, painting stuff. Seen some of his minis. They're really well done. Oh yeah, Adam, I'm thinking about getting myself an airbrush at some point in the not too distant future. Especially because Amanda would also use it for cakes. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to learn how to use it. I have no idea if it's gonna be like a good thing for me or a bad thing for me. But I think at least it might help me prime my my minis a little bit better. Get that first coat. All right. you get some more details. Yeah. That's why I was really happy that my first minis were the Zombicide ones. Because I was just like, I don't care enough about these to be worried about whether or not I should just go in and jump in and paint them. So I was just like, alright, cool. I'm gonna do this. I think sometimes it can be for effects. I think that people use it for a lot of different things. I have to do some research. I haven't really looked into it as much as I probably should. I mean, I haven't bought it yet or anything like that. It's just one of those things that I know people like to use. And if I can get it to be done, cool. I mean, that. I also think it might speed up some stuff if I start doing like airbrushing, because you know I am notoriously slow at painting all this stuff. All right, see you in a bit, Adam. What else? You guys. That color too. I'll just add it here. All right. Fair. Color the deeper places first. That is usually good. You want to do it. I think someone said once that you want to paint miniatures like you would dress them, where you would start from the bottom coat, so start from like the skin, then go to the clothing, then the accessories last, and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, that's definitely a very true and very good way of doing it. But it's not always how I do it. I sometimes just, because of the fact that I do it based on what kinds of paints I have available or that I've put out into my my palette. I might end up doing some other stuff first before I go deep. Or I might do them in the wrong order, and then it bites me in the ass later on. I think I'm gonna switch back to her in a moment. As I finish this last leg. Other thing is like being able to picture what you want a certain miniature to look like. For me, some of them are just really hard to picture. Others are really easy to picture. Those are the ones that I'm able to get done pretty quickly. Alright. Let's try this here. Yeah. Alright. Other thing that I just don't like to make any two of miniatures exactly the same. I like to make sure that there's some variance. That you can look at it and be like, that's different, or that's what makes that one unique, especially for a game like Scythe. I like having that. It's like, oh yeah, you have all these different mechs. Let's make them all look cool and a little bit different than the others. But that can be hard to do sometimes. Yeah, exactly. And like, and even if it's just small differences, because like having the consistent color scheme, it actually does matter. Because you still want them to look like they're from the same manufacturer or whatever. But like, there's some small differences that I can do. Like, I mean, this one being, that one looks different than, say, this one. Even though they've got similarities, but like even just the tops here are a little bit different. Where the gold is happening is a bit different highlights, things like that. So I like to make sure that I have some of that. Speaking of, let's do some of this. The other thing is just learning when enough is enough in terms of, all right, no problem, Vaden. When enough is enough. Okay, I could keep detailing this forever and ever, or I could finish it and be done. Make it still look pretty cool. Okay. I'm gonna go back to her. Alrighty, let's go back to her picture. There we go. And now, what is the next part? I think the next part is I'm going to give her gloves and the other parts of her arm stuff. Those parts, that should be like a leathery kind of thing. And then gold. Okay. So, in terms of that, I want to use a golden brown. Yeah, I think I use a golden brown for it. Grab a drink. All right. Make sure that this is logged. Just that little dot should be enough. And then let's go ahead and start to do some of the, no, I'm going to use this, a really tiny one. Okay. Give her the gloves here. Just like that. There. Oh, it's hard to get these spots. Just like that. Adding some of those colors in there. This hand as well. Just like that. Mm-hmm. Also, apologies for the death of the what's it called? The AC unit in the background. But we just got to get that fixed at some point. But that means we got to get around to it. Those are the gloves, that kind of stuff. I mean, most of our stuff is just gold, gold, gold. I think I might use multiple types of gold. So I've got a few different golden stuff. Because, yeah, I feel like if I used some burnished gold underneath, and I could use some nice, what's it called? I'm not gonna do that way. Because that's all gold, that's all gold. She's got a lot of golden. She is definitely like the sun. She will blind you for sure. You know what? Better do that as well. Let's go ahead. So for me, I like Scythe. I think that it's... the size of it can be intimidating, for sure. And I can totally see that. But I think that when you get past that, when you actually get to playing the game, actually, like, first of all, it's not what you would expect from a mech game. Like, it's got all these mechs and things like that, but combat is a very, maybe not minute, but pretty small part of what the game actually is. So I find that I actually really appreciate that, because I'm not the biggest, like, in terms of like the multiplayer, like combat games and that kind of stuff. Those are not my forte. I can do co-op like that, like Gloomhaven, but not really competitive in that way. So I actually think that it's not nearly as bad as some people think. Like, it appears to be like, this giant game that, like, it's gonna take forever. It's gonna be like, everyone beating themselves over the head with all these different mechs and things, and then you actually play it, and a lot of it is just pretty much trying to get the right resources at the right time, and keeping control of, like, the different territories and that kind of stuff. So I find that it's almost like a resource management game that is hidden in in the guise of a mech game. So all in all, I think that it's actually I really like that it's like that. It's like subverts some expectations for sure. Those mech games are normally like, anytime you do that kind of stuff, you get to really, like, you got to work on tactics, you got to work on all this other kind of stuff. Whereas Scythe is just like, no, you got to generate your resources, and you got to use those resources. And when you use those resources, you will get stuff, and that's it. Hey, Adam. Welcome back. Welcome back. I switched colors. I went from tin to brown. I did some gloves. And now I'm doing a staff. Baldrick's staff. One of the most OP characters in all of Massive Darkness. You get him with the right equipment, you will kill mostly anything in like one shot. Which, I mean, is good, but at the same time, can be boring. It's always fun to be like, wait, how much damage did you do? You did. You killed, all of them? Every single one of them in one shot. It depends, Adam. I sometimes thin it. I sometimes just do directly with the paint. It depends on pretty much which bottle it is. I know the consistency that I'm looking for. So if it's too thick, I will add water. If this is the right size, if it's alright, then I will just leave it. But yeah, it really depends on pretty much the bottle itself. Like, some bottles have good consistency, some bottles don't, and when I pour it out is pretty much when I figure that out. What else can I do in this color? Anything I can do in this color? Yeah, the scabbard. I definitely have some paints that like they'll always come out way too thin from the bottle. And those are just annoying because if it's too thin from the bottle, there's not much you can do other than wait. Alright. Scabbard is there. Yeah. I mean, I like there's a good consistency. Like this is a really good consistency. It is still very thin, but also, yeah, no, for sure. But some of them are just like so watered down that like it literally just doesn't stick. And so I just need to like on those I have to like wait a little bit, and make sure that it's all right. And honestly, like, you know, sometimes it just happens because I don't shake the thing well enough or whatever, and it doesn't get mixed in well enough, and then even though it's thin, it's mostly just water and not really any pigment. I definitely never use it like thick. Like if it's to the point that it's making me lose detail, like that is definitely not. Gotta make sure not to do that. You're totally right. Yeah, good primer is also really important. And that's something I've been, I think, getting better at, trying to get my things primed correctly and in a way that doesn't lose too much detail. But, I mean, I took the suggestion of some people online. Pretty much I use just Rust-Oleum, like just generic primer that you can get in the hardware store. I tried Army Painter's primer. I mean, you know, with the ones that I've currently been using, I'm pretty happy with it. Like, let's see, where's like, you know, these are just primed and they've got some, it's got good detail on it. Can't really see that well, but yeah, still holds up all the detail. Yes, I do. I have, this stuff pretty much. It's a spray lacquer that that does matte varnish. Yeah, especially because I also have this stuff. The Army Painter Quick Shade, which is what I used to use, or what I did use for the zombies. I'll have to check it out at some point. I just, I don't know. With the number of minis that I have currently, I don't know if I'd want to invest in that at the moment. Like, I'm all right with what I currently have, I think. I don't know. It's definitely something to look into in the future. But if I get like an airbrush, I'll have to take a look at, yeah. Yeah, no, I just, whenever I use a little bit of varnish, it's always just the smallest amount. Just a bit. honestly, there's definitely some things here that I probably should have done, like, yeah, there are definitely some things that I could have done better here in terms of how I painted a lot of these minis. It is what it is. I think a lot of it is that I probably should, instead of like going right for the detail and just painting the detail, like for example, on the Scythe mechs, just paint the general colors first, and then after that paint the detail on top of that, rather than trying to paint the detail separately. Probably what I should have done. But I didn't. I'm learning. It's a process. Pretty much like what I'm doing with the Sunkeeper, just starting with base coat, like, you know, just doing some silver all over it, and then after that I'm going to add the golden things, and then, yeah. See, this is the Army Painter primer that I got. I was like, this zombie flesh stuff, and it really, like, it's rough. It's like, it feels like sandpaper. Yeah. I mean, that's probably a good thing. Definitely better than the way that I do it. Where it's just like, what color should I do next? I'm gonna do this color. I'm gonna do this color. And then try to get everything on and painted. I don't plan painting any of my miniatures. I just have a picture in front of me most of the time. Unless it's like these fuckers. And just use that in terms of how I want them to look. Then again, I'm always painting miniatures from board games and not from things like Warhammer, where there's like entire armies and you want them to be at least a little bit unique and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's my thought too. It's like, it's good enough. Especially like, yeah, I'm probably never going to use the rest of that can of primer, because I really don't even like painting on this. I mean, it holds paint pretty well, but it's just like, even holding it like is like rough and not nice. So I prefer. Also gives like the miniatures a little bit of a weird texture, but you know, they're just zombies from a game that I'm never gonna play again, or probably never gonna play again. So, meh. I think that I can get away with so much more on like just the pre-assembled minis from board games than like anything that you could do that you're doing on like the actual like Warhammer like miniatures and that kind of stuff. The ones that you're like making your own stuff, and yeah, that is definitely not what I'm working on. Yeah, I have a bunch of different inks and washes, or I have a bunch of different washes. I don't think I have any inks because technically, apparently, they're different. Let's see. I've got. Let's see. Is there any of them? Are there any of them out here? No. Let's see. There's. Zombie Trader. Toxic shader. Plague shader. Jumpsuit shader. Deep shader. Survivor shader. Yeah, so a lot of them are the red caps, but then the ones from Vallejo are not. I've got the Flesh Wash. Got the Green Wash. Because I have like 3 different companies of stuff in here, it's just like some of their different methods of like doing them is are different, so it makes it almost hard to tell apart. Let's see, is there any? I know I have more. No, not you. No, I got MSP. That's just black. Oh, red wash. Sepia shade. You. Umber wash. I think that that's pretty much all of the ones that I currently have. There might be 1 or 2 more just in here somewhere, but yeah. I mean, I've got this thing. I think you're the one who recommended it to me. Sure. Let's see. Where can I do that so that it's visible? That. There you go. I think that should be all of the all of the washes. Yeah, no worries. And I haven't used it yet. I mean, this is what? Soak brushes as necessary. Remove some softened residue with knife or nail brush. Yeah, I have to use it. I haven't gotten the chance. I haven't done it yet, but I did have it. I remember we had this discussion at one point because I was asking you about this because I think you mentioned it at one point, and I'm like, I need to know how to do that so I can save some of my brushes because they're getting shitty. So, yes. All right, I'm going to start with a darker gold, I think. So what kind of golds do I have? I've got bright gold, I've got polished gold, I've got glorious gold. What's this? Brass. No. Copper. No. Right, is there any others? What's this? Golden yellow. No, I want you. Bright bronze. Okay. What else have I got? What else have I got? I think that's all of my metallics. Yeah, I think that's all of them. Alrighty. Survivor shader. This guy. No, I'm not sure if I've used him. And I've used currently... I mean, the thing is that with how I've been painting, I've only really used shaders on these guys right here. These are, I think, the only people that I've used just like legit shaders on. Because everything else I've used, most of the other things either aren't done. I haven't used the restore yet. But yeah, no, the rest of the stuff that I have has been like mostly zombies and that kind of stuff, or still unfinished. So for the most part, I just don't. I would just use the what's it called, the quick shade from Army Painter, which is just like one color and then that's it. Yeah. I was just reading that like you can like shape them afterwards, and I actually should do that. I'll probably soak most of these brushes in some water and wash them well, and then after that I will go ahead and use the restorer. Okay, I think I'm gonna start with this one. Yeah. Quick shade is exactly for that. And I mean, I've used it for that as well. I've usually put it, just brushed it on because it's, I don't know, I like to do that a little bit more. I don't want to have as much on it. But it's the similar, that's what I've done currently with most of like the generic minis that I've made. And I mean, it's really useful for that. All right. You, madame, are gonna get some gold. Let's see. Where do I want to put the gold first? Yeah, so should I use that shader for like all over? Because I've been like using, for example, for all of these guys over here, I use like different shaders for different parts of them. So I've been like customizing based on like what color I wanted it. I want it in there and that kind of stuff. So that it's not just so it's not just one color of shading. Yeah, I know, the gold is looking really nice. I think it's bringing it out. All right, see you in a bit, Adam. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, paint all of the stuff with this gold. And then, once I have that done and dried, I'm going to dry brush with the lighter golds. So I have some brighter golds. And what that's going to do is that's going to bring out the highlights before I put an ink or something like that on it. And yeah. I think one thing I'm going to do real quick is water was getting to be a little bit too dirty, so I'm going to do that. here. No, fuck it. You're going over there. Your paper towel's coming out. Like that. Then some of this. That. Alrighty, back to gold. Let's just grab some of this. Where are you? There you are. There we go. That's good. Get that to be just a little bit more viscous. Now let's continue on with this gold. Okay, next is here. Yep, just like that. And let's add that to here. Go. I think that having this character painted might actually put William over the edge of actually choosing her in the next when he retires. So that'll be nice. That'll help make a choice. Because I mean, like, I just finished painting his other character. So I'm sure that that's part of why he would love to keep using it. But at the same time, he might just have a brand new painted character. Though I'm not sure if I'd be able to finish all the detail this week. Then again, I probably don't need to until next week anyway. Because we're probably only going to have one session this week, as per usual. And so he might retire at the end of it. But he's not going to start playing the new character yet. Well, after he's retired. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Nice gold. Ready? Arm. Just like that. Just a little happy little bit of gold right there. that. Get it into the right spots without covering everything in gold. I think I need to remove some of it. Yeah, just like that. I think it looks even better in person because you can really see the shimmering of the gold. Gold, gold, gold. Let's see. There. Okay. Next. Yes, I think next I'm gonna take you and I'm gonna mix you up. Okay. Just like that. And now let's do this hammer. The golden hammer. And that's all the reason I think that William might like this character. She's got a goddamn hammer. He likes hammers. He likes bringing the hammer down. So you might like her for that. Nice, nice. Yeah. I mean, in D&D and the like, I am always the druid. So, for me, it's the, I don't give a shit about what I'm using as a weapon. I get to use myself as a weapon. I get to transform myself into goddamn bear. Okay, let's see, where is that? Okay. Yeah, exactly. Beast forms are the best. I absolutely love them. Circle of the Moon druids. I mean, like I've done like my podcast about how much I like druids. Like you put a druid in a game, that is going to make me notice. 100%. That. Well, she's gonna be a shiny one. Just add a little bit more there. Either that or I'm a necromantic druid. So there's like this post that like comes up every once in a while, which I think is absolutely amazing. It's about, what if you were like a druid necromancer? And then instead of like, just reanimating bodies or anything like that, like you start, you just like use plants and fungus and that kind of stuff in order to like move around like the different what's it called? The different bones and that kind of thing, and they just start inhabiting, or like, you know, you use some of that kind of stuff for mind control or whatever. Be some really fun stuff with an evil druid. Yeah, exactly. That's just like, it's some really creepy stuff that you could do with that. And I love it. Like, yeah, I love playing like any druid, but like, it could be a fun way of like doing a different kind of druid. That's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna fuck some shit up by reanimating different corpses and things like that, but through the use of all these different other techniques. So, exactly. Got like undead bears coming at you. You've got like all these different things, like even any kind of you know, even humanoid creatures that are coming at you, like brain controlled through like a fungus and that kind of stuff. You've got some weird shit happening. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This part here. Nice. Just imagine like a druid like necromancer bringing back the like some dinosaurs or something like that. Like, yeah, they don't exist technically in the world, but their bones do. And now I'm gonna bring them back to life. That would be a interesting like quest line in general, like for a bunch of heroes. They start going through like this unholy kind of like forest of creatures that like are completely like undead, like the bears, the other things, and then like and of course, because you know they don't feel pain or anything, that they're not ever letting up or anything like that, so you're just stuck and you're trying to fight these things, and you have to fight them until they're completely dead. And then you get to like the boss area and you're just like, okay, now I get to finally face this like crazy druid who's been doing all this kind of stuff. And then you come face to face with like a T-Rex or like an Allosaurus or like a Triceratops or something like that. Yeah. Welcome back, Adam. We were just talking about necromantic druids. Because why the hell not? She's looking good. Getting all those gold things. All right, let's see. What other things here are gonna be gold? Coat real quick. And then let's do another coat on the hammer. Let's see. The Vermin Lord Corruptor. Huh. I will definitely check that out. I'm really curious to see what it looks like. But yeah. Unfortunately, I definitely am not looking for more minis to paint because I've got so many left that I still have to do. I mean, like, maybe after I'm done with Rising Sun, I will start looking for some more, but I mean, I've still got a lot more to just take care of there. Oh, I think I heard that you just sent me a picture of the vermin. Yep, that's what I thought. I heard the Discord, I'm like, I am sure that that is exactly what I think it is. I will definitely check that out. Alright, how am I going to do that part? Do I even want to do that part? I don't think so. Instead... Huh. 3 different minis in one box. Well, that's cool. I don't think I've ever actually built a mini. So that would be a new 5 different types. Damn, even more. I don't think I've ever actually built any minis myself. I've only ever had pre-made ones. That, alright. Okay. I like it. Huh. Yeah. 3, you can build them in 5 different ways. That is still really cool. Alright, I think I'm gonna do the shield. Add a little bit of gold to the shield. up top here. Let's see. Let's see. Then, all right, see you in a bit, Vaden. Wait 1 second. Where is that? Yeah, I'll find it in a bit. Adam, have you seen Rising Sun? I don't remember if you were in stream when we played it that one time. Yeah, Rising Sun. She's gonna go down here for a bit. Like that. All right, 1 sec. In terms of gameplay, I think Rising Sun is, I'd probably say somewhere around a 7, probably. In terms of miniatures, it's a 10. I mean, got that. Got that. Like this guy. Like the miniatures in this game are absolutely like just gorgeous. So yeah, I need to use that gold somewhere. Oh, where am I going to use it? I'm going to use it on these guys. Move these over. If you want to see any of them up close, let me know. But yeah, they're pretty damn, like, the miniatures on that in that game are absolutely amazing. I like, can't wait to actually like paint them. a little bit of a highlight right there. We'll also add right there. A friend of mine, Hunter, he's the guy who won't play games until he has them painted. He did Rising Sun, and he painted his, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Like some of the coolest miniatures that I've ever seen. Well, maybe not ever, but like probably some of the coolest miniatures I've seen in person. Let's see. A little bit more of that left. So let's see. Where else can I do some highlights? I'll do some on you as well. We'll do. There isn't that much gold left, so I'm going to use it. Where am I going to use it? I'm going to use it here. Back here. Yep. I mean, I'm the same way. I would definitely never just be like, I'm not playing this until I paint the miniatures, because that would take forever. And we would never play Massive Darkness because I'm never going to be able to finish those. It's just too many. But I mean, the nice part is with Massive Darkness is that I'm gonna have like, if I ever finish them. Oh, welcome back. Yep, exactly. But yeah, if I were to wait, Massive Darkness is really nice because it has so many different types of monsters, so I can just like paint all the things that I would like to use in my D&D campaigns, which will be quite useful when I get around to painting them. Or maybe if I get around to painting them. Yeah, that would be a good use of time. Especially if you're sitting there like in the overnight shift not really doing much. Painting a bit would probably be great. Yeah, exactly. We have so many minis painted. In previous jobs, I have done that when I worked from home and I didn't have anything to do. I just painted some minis, but I'm not supposed to do that. What was the next thing I was going to do? See, what does she need still? Need to get the back of her shield. Touch up her face. Back there. And the handle, her hair. Okay. Yeah. That's how it is sometimes. You never know what you're gonna get. Is it gonna be an easy day, or is it gonna be a rough day? I think I need some crimson again. All right. Let's add some more detailing. Not a lot, just a little bit. Should be enough. just a dot. Hey Adam, have you ever used this stuff? Metal medium? That's gonna be really cool. So, do you know what it is? It's a really cool thing, because what it is it just like can make any of your paints into a metallic paint. It's actually how I got the effect on this guy with the white being like metallic and shiny. Still haven't fully mastered it. I tried to use it on one of my other minis and it didn't work out quite like I wanted it to. But I like the fact that I can just like make things metallic like that. Probably going to be wrapping up here soon because it is already 11. It's 11 over here. I've been streaming for a good long while and I'm starting to get tired. So I think as soon as I'm done with this color, I'm going to start to head to bed. I will definitely check that out in a bit. Let's see, how many paints do you own? Nice. I mean, that's similar, I think, pretty similar to the amount that I own. I think. Probably maybe even a little bit more. Right, and then touch up some of the deeper spots. See, what is that great picture again? Oh man, that is really good. That is really good. All right, I think before I forget what color I used for her face, that. Not you. There you are, sunburned flesh. That tiny dot of that. Oh man, that's perfect. That is someone using humor in the best way possible. You know, this dude who usually has these giant ass chains and this little super like that, I'm gonna give him shopping bags. Nice. A little bit more. That. All right. Alrighty, guys. I think that's going to be it for me tonight. Thank you both for joining and for sticking. I think that she's coming along really nicely. So I'm glad that you guys were here and that you enjoyed it. And so I will see you all on Friday, hopefully. Have a good night, Adam. And yeah, Vaden, I'm glad that you really enjoyed it. Hopefully I'll be doing some more of these at some point. I mean, hopefully we won't have like cancellations last minute for games, but you know, if they happen, this is probably what's gonna happen. Alrighty, have a good night, everyone.